Hello.
Justin, my man.
What's going on, dude?
Not much. Hey, thanks for taking our call. Sorry about our hastily thrown together. I don't know. I hate to even say how this got screwed up, but it's Kevin's fault.
It's 100%.
Ah, there you go.
100% Jesse.
It is definitely my fault. There's all these cords up here, and I don't even want to say I was trying to run on the treadmill, which is a bad idea in general. And I thought, you know what, it'd be cool to plug my phone into this, I don't know, treadmill and make it work. And I'm like, man, there's got to be 20 cords up there on Kevin's apparatus. So I started pulling shit apart the other day, trying to make my phone work. And then I thought I put it back together correctly, but I didn't. So we do apologize for the inconvenience. But yeah, so if this podcast turns out like shit, it's kind of on your back, man. So I hope that you can, that you can come up with it.
I appreciate that.
Come up with some good material for us. Hey, we're already recording, if that's all right. I should have told you that.
Okay, that's fine, man. Shoot away.
Yeah, cool. And remember, we literally have 7 listeners now. So shoot from the hip and be yourself. So don't be stressed over anything.
7 listeners. All right, man. Sounds good.
He's laughing.
I'm not nervous at all.
That's right. So I'm really excited to talk to you, dude. A lot of guys will give me referrals on other dudes. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a really good hunter and this or that. And I always am happy to talk with different guys. But when somebody like Andy May says, Andy went out of his way, he's like, dude, this is a guy you need to talk to. He's right up your alley. So I'm super intrigued. And then just texting with you the other night, I'm like, yeah, I already like your mantra. So I'm really excited to shoot the shit with you. And we had some people comment on our page, just, Kevin had posted just saying, is there anything anybody's interested in talking about? And that's kind of how you came about. We were like, I know a lot of my friends, I kind of already know their answers. I know that sounds weird, but and I thought, you know what? Let's throw some of these questions at Justin and see how he answers, because I don't really know you at all, and I'm excited about that. But Andy spoke extremely highly of you and said that you're just one of us. You're a guy who, not one of us, but you're one of the guy. You are an elite. You're better than us. That's what Andy told me, actually.
No, dude, no way. Come on now. No.
But
Andy's a superb hunter, man, and he was actually I heard you on that podcast on the Wire to Hunt there, and listening to you guys, man. So no, don't blow me up too much here, because you might be disappointed.
No, not at all. Statistics are statistics, and it sounds like you've got the. I like your mantra. Andy said that you're our whole thing with this podcast is my whole life I've gone hunting and everybody tells me you can't do this or that's a trip of a lifetime, and wait till you have a business, or wait till you have kids, or wait till you have a real job. Well, fuck, I have all that, and I keep pushing and I keep hunting and I love it, and it's easy. Everybody can do it. So when
Absolutely.
I heard that you are in the same boat and you're the same type of guy and you're doing the same shit, it's like, this is the guy that I want to be involved with and help expose other people to, because people think what we're doing is just amazing. I don't feel like anything I do is amazing. I just get in my truck, go places and hunt and kill shit. And it sounds like you do the same thing. And Andy said you're ultra laid back and just
yeah, for sure, man. And I'll be honest, as far as like out of state trips and all that, I have not done a whole lot. I have done some in Illinois. I've hunted in Arkansas. I haven't made like any kind of crazy trips, which is on my agenda, and I don't want to sound like, excuse. I hate that when people use excuses, but I just haven't been able to make it work, I guess you'd say. But I hunt hours from my home, and my wife, she's a nurse. She works 12-hour shifts. I've got a daughter that's 8 years old. We don't have any family close, so yeah, if I can do it, man, anybody can do it. I mean, honestly,
that's right.
Seriously, like time is just, it's ate up all the time. You know how it is. You got kids. Anybody with kids knows that it's just, and your lifestyle is just, it's hectic nowadays.
Oh, everything changes, and it's great to hear somebody like you who's in the same boat as the rest of us say that, because it's almost one of those misery loves company. It's good to hear the other guys are struggling for that type of thing and still getting it done, though. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I don't know much about you. I mean, obviously you're married with kids, and what kind of work do you do?
Well, I'm a first assistant on a a golf course, man. I got into the golf business kind of after college, and I don't know. I just kind of fell in love with that outdoor kind of work. I'm not a guy to be stuck inside. You know, it just didn't work for me. So I started there back in '05. I've worked there. We moved. I was going to school in St. Louis, and kind of moved out of that area and moved down here and been working on the golf course. Very busy job. I work a lot of hours, during the summer, but it works out great for me. During the wintertime, we kind of shut down, and it allows me that time if I can just get away from the family time, as far as hunting and all that stuff goes.
Yeah.
But man, it's like anything you love. I mean, you make it happen, right? I mean, you do it. You find a way no matter what, you find that way to make that time and get out there. I'll be honest, I've gone out, as crazy as it sounds, late at night, hours after dark, going to check a trail camera or whatever it be. I mean, even running a field edge looking for a specific track from a certain deer that I knew should be in the area. You do what you got to do. As far as anything else, I've got a 8-year-old. Like I said, my wife's a nurse. Just kind of a busy life, man. I mean, and throwing hunting in the mix of it, make it happen.
Yeah, dude, I'm smiling, and I noticed Kevin smiled. I looked up, and Kevin started smiling, shaking his head, like nodding yes. Yeah, you got the mantra, and if I could nail down a mantra that all of my killing friends have, it's whatever it takes. That's everybody's mantra is, no, I want this. I don't care. And you're exactly right. I've gone out, as odd as it seems, and literally I've worked till sun up to sundown during hunting season. It's like shit, and taken a flashlight and gone out, and a lot of times I've brushed over trails just before trail cameras, just brushed the tracks just to see if a good track shows up. And
right on,
then go and check it, and it's like yes. I definitely can hunt in the morning. I know he's coming in and out of this thicket. I'm gonna hunt it. You got the right mantra, dude. I'm smiling already.
Right on, man. I hear you there.
So you mainly hunt Missouri then?
I mainly hunt Missouri. Like I said, I did hunt Illinois last year. I hunted Illinois in 2015. I've hunted Arkansas quite a bit, more so when I was young. I've bounced down there a little bit here in the past few years. I am kind of looking toward Kentucky. It's not too terribly far from me, so I'm going to start venturing out a little bit more. The daughter's kind of getting older and won't be long. She'll be able to stay around the house there for a couple hours by herself, so that's when I'm gonna start doing some serious traveling.
Yeah, that's right. So tell us, I've never hunted Missouri actually. Obviously it intrigues me. I'm one of these morons that drives right past big bucks to go look for other big bucks.
Well, Missouri's kind of funky, man. It's a Midwest state, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we don't have any big bucks. We do. There's big bucks in Missouri. There's not an abundance of them. And the problem here, in my opinion, is we have a rifle season that falls for 11 days, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the rut. And it's a brown, it's down kind of mentality here. I mean, you get guys coming up. I got a buddy that lives down in Louisiana, and he knows a group of 20 guys that come up here. And they literally shoot, man, the little forked horn, the little basket racks. I mean, it's whatever. And it's kind of that same mentality throughout the state for the most part. You got your landowner guys that are trying to manage, but you get out on the public, and it's literally dangerous during that time. I won't even hunt public land hardly in rifle season anymore. It's just it's just dangerous. So.
Yeah, that's the only. Remember, we only have 7 listeners, so you're not giving away any big tips here.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing I would say is I think everybody has that feeling. Just for the states that I hunt, out of state, I don't want anybody to know about them. But it's it's kind of like, and it's the same thing. I mean, in New York, it's like this is horrible. However, we always seem to kill pretty good deer.
Absolutely.
There's always guys that literally will shoot 5 fork horns and put everybody's tag on them or recycle tags.
Wow.
But you gotta, you know what? And that's the thing with the East Coast that I don't think the Midwesterners or the Westerners realize. It's horrible here. I'm looking at Kevin. I don't even know if Kevin, it's bad. These guys are, it's a shame how it is here. It's a huge, we have tons and tons and tons of deer, and it's kind of the good old boy rule. These guys will just mow shit over. Where I realized when I hunted out of state, when I started hunting in the Midwest in the late 90s, early 2000s, you don't even make jokes like that. And
Right.
I love that you guys will. I mean, when you guys are tagged out, you guys are. Nope, I tagged out. I had to pass out. I literally have a buddy in Ohio. He's like, yeah, I literally had a 180-inch buck underneath me the other night, but I was tagged out. In New York,
Oh,
I would say 99% of the guys would have shot that deer.
right.
It's
right.
horrible here. So you were having a little pity party there about Missouri, so I wanted to jump on board with New York.
No, man, it is a good state, and I think that is the thing, the rap down here. I live in southern Missouri, and a lot of the guys down here are always talking about the northern part of the state and stuff. Man, there's big bucks down here. It's just a matter of honestly getting out there, busting your tail, and finding them. It's not easy. They're not around every corner or whatever. They're not on every piece. I mean, I don't even know how many pieces of public around that I've hit here in the past year, and sometimes I may find one, may find two in a season, and I mean, and so be it. I can sit here, like you just said, throw a pity party about it, or I can get my ass out there and I can hunt them down. It's difficult. You got to be careful. There is a lot of guys, I think, that like to follow you around. Not saying they're following me around or anything, like that they know who I am, but you got to be careful on like the sign you leave behind, I guess.
No, dude,
I mean,
Kevin, as soon as you said that, Kevin started smiling.
Jesse's got a lot of guys that like to stalk him for that exact reason.
It's horrible, and it's not an arrogant thing. It's kind of like when you're fishing and you keep catching fish, and there's people on the shore and they'll see you, and before you know it, they come over and make conversation with you, and then they're like, "You mind if I cast here?" And it's like, "What the fuck?
right?
What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?"
Right.
I mean, it's fine if a little kid does it. I'll literally be like, "Hey, come over here, buddy." But you have grown-ass 60-year-old men that they'll see me parked somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, there's a big one in there." And next thing you know, they're got a tree stand, hammering 2x4s into a tree right next to you.
Right, man. Exactly. And it's the same way it is here. I got some guys, I think, that, I don't know, somehow or another, maybe they've seen me, I have drugged some out, come out with some deer and being seen. So, it is what it is, though. I mean, you get out there and I'm still knocking them down, so I can't complain, but I'm not going to make it ever sound like it's easy. But like you said, anybody can do it. It's just a matter if you put in the work, man. It's really, I think that's what it boils down to. And most of the guys that I've talked to that are successful is they bust their tail at it. I mean, they literally bust their tail at it. They get out there, they work at it, and if you have to go 1.5 miles in, it's some pretty rugged terrain around here. You got to go 1.5 miles in. I mean,
that's right.
That's what I was actually going to ask you, Justin. What is the kind of the lay of the land? Is it a lot of agriculture in that part of Missouri, or what?
Well, it varies. So where I grew up, which is it would be about 3 hours west of where I hunt and stuff now. That was mainly big timber. There wasn't any ag actually around. If there was a field around, it was a cattle field, hay field. And man, that really spreads the deer out for the most part. But I'll be honest, I think growing up there and hunting in that kind of terrain made me a better hunter. Simply because you can't go out. You're not going to go out and you can't glass shit there. You got to get in the woods. You got to dive in there, get dirty and find them. And for me, in that kind of terrain, I'm very aggressive. To me, it's the only way to really find one. I'll go in and literally trying to kick deer up, find where they're at, and and then kind of hunt them based off that. But now where I hunt, there is more of a mixture. It's hills with some timber, a lot more timber than ag where I hunt, but there is some ag, and it's nice because it gives you an idea of direction of travel where these deer are going, especially early season. It's like, okay, well, if I find him, kind of, it's not too hard most of the time to figure out the general direction that he's going. So
right, and we literally one of the main reason that we wanted to talk to you, it wasn't actually about Missouri. It sounds like I just called you to pick your brain about
no, man, you're
Missouri.
Good.
I like what you just said about going in and kicking them up, and that's a lot of the stuff that we want to talk to you about is your technique or your tactics, because living in any great state doesn't make you a great hunter. There's guys that live in game-rich areas that kill amazing things. There's guys that live in game-rich areas that don't kill shit.
Right.
And you could live in Connecticut and kill big deers because you have the right mantra and the right idea. When you had just said that you prefer to go in and kick them up, I do the exact same thing, but I don't do it in my home turf because I know my home turf well. You're talking when you say that, you're talking about doing that when you're breaking down new ground, correct?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And I don't hunt a lot of that stuff. Back where I grew up as often anymore. And you know how it is, man. Things change.
Yeah.
So a lot of the spots I've gone into, that I used to hunt, things change. Either somebody's hunting in there now, or it's kind of, it's not as thick as what it used to be. And that area down there, I mean, you're looking for cutovers. A lot of times that's kind of where you're going to find your deer.
What's a cutover? What's your definition of
like
a
a clear cut, like something in that anywhere from 3 to 10-year range or whatever, if you can find a cutover down there. And a lot of times it's on the private property that borders, say the public. But if you can get in and around that, that's where it's like it's almost like an ag field,
In when you're considering it a cutover, they log the trees, not just the tree tops are there, but the sun can come in, so the underbrush is growing in. Yes. Is that what makes it good?
You got a very high stem count in there. There's a lot of browse. It creates a great area for the deer, for one, to bed in because it's so thick, and like I said, there's so much for them to feed in there.
Yeah, I've found during the rut, those are always good, but during the rut and when the pressure comes on, because deer don't have to leave that.
Yep, exactly. And that's another thing, man. I used to dive right in the middle of them things about the 3rd, 4th day of rifle season when I rifle hunted. I really don't rifle hunt anymore, but when I did, I would dive right in the middle of those things. I would take my lone wolf in there, and I'd get in these crazy small tree, as big around as your calf, get 6-7 foot up off the ground, just high enough to kind of see in there. Man, it was crazy how many deer they push in there.
Dude,
it was crazy.
You are preaching. You are literally. I weigh 160 and I'm like 5'6", maybe. Let's just say 5'7" because nobody can really see me. I don't think you've ever. I would be amazed if anybody has hunted out of some of the squirrely trees I've hunted out of. I've hunted out of sumacs that are literally the size of your calf, like you said. And you're right. Sometimes it's desperation. It's like, fuck, I need to be right here. I got to get in here. And it's like, fuck it. And the neat thing with doing what you just said is, those deer they've never been attacked from right there.
No.
This isn't an old tree they're not, deer get in the habit, you've hunted the same stand for 6 years, like they know to look for you there. And when there's something brand new, they might pick you out of the tree, but they're not worried about it. And by the time they are worried, they're dead.
Absolutely, man. Yes. That's funny. And I'm sure you see that with the ladder stands and all that, man. In that kind of country there, and even here, where I hunt now, I'll hunt around that stuff. Them big deer, if they're in that area, they figure that out. I killed one of my biggest deer in 2016, and this guy had a couple ladder stands, and he's literally entering in through this holler down to this bottom, coming through it. He had ribbon tape all the way up through there, leading to both stands.
Were there any thumbtacks? I always love the thumbtacks.
Oh my god, dude! You get in there at night, and it's just like Christmas.
Raccoon eyes everywhere.
Yeah. And he's coming in through there, and this deer's literally bedding up on this little secondary point that comes off through there. Watching this moron come right up through this bottom, right up into the stand. There is sign in there. There was big sign in there. And I knew there was a big deer in there. And I had to wait for the right wind. I had to wait for actually a really strong wind to push my scent up and out of there because it was kind of a bowl. And, and it worked out. I slipped in there. I'm sure he came right down off that point. He would check that trail that guy would walk in. Coast is clear. I came in on the backside of the other ridge, came and slipped right up over there, and he'd come right up through there, and I arrowed him at, 20 yards, I think it was.
Oh, I love it.
It's just funny how these guys, it amazes me with the information that is out there on the internet now, that these guys are still doing that, which I guess maybe they don't read it. But, man, it's so puzzling to me. And I've ran into a few of them, and they're like, yeah, well, I've seen this, I've seen that, and it's like, man, you just keep going back to that same stand. I don't know. I don't get that, but
dude, you and I literally could. I have the same problems. The one thing that I relate it to is I know I should not when I sit down with a bag of chips. I know I should not eat the entire bag of chips. And I know that on Tuesday I should not have 4 beers because I don't need those empty calories. But you know what? Fuck it. It's easy.
Right.
I'm doing it. And that's what these guys do. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. It's my day to go hunting. I don't know where to go. I haven't seen anything. Maybe I'll go here. I shot a good one here in 2002. Therefore, hopefully I get lucky again. And a lot of guys bank on getting lucky, and they hope, well, deer, hopefully this deer does this or does that. And I scratch my head, and a lot of times I try, and especially local guys, I try and say like, gosh, especially when they're ruining my own fucking hunting. It's like, man, you can't attack. There's this one spot I hunt, and I literally just had this conversation with a guy the other day. He has permission to hunt literally like 6 acres. It's a great 6 acres. He has permission to hunt this 6 acres that butts up to this 45, which doesn't sound like a lot of acreage, but around here, that's a great chunk of thick woods. His scent blows entirely through the entire fucking thicket, and it blows everything out of there. And I said to him, I'm like, hey, we were talking. He knows that I hunt there, and he doesn't have permission on the 40 acres. There's like 6 others that do. And I'm like, hey, have you ever thought about just attacking that only with an east wind? Like, don't hunt. You will kill everything in there with an east wind, but you should really only hunt that with an east wind. I hunt whenever I have time. And it's like, fuck. So you can't save everybody, and you just, and you also can't hate them for it. I love that they hunt, and I love that they're hunting, and I don't want to act holier than thou, but
I don't want it to sound like I'm bashing on people at all, because I'm not.
Oh, I love bashing people. Keep going.
Well, I mean, not everybody's out there for the same reasons either. Some guys they're literally going out to, I don't know, just enjoy the outdoors. It's peaceful sitting in a tree stand. We all know that. But for me,
yeah, but they want to. Everybody wants to kill a big deer. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody would love, if there's 10 deer standing in a field and there's one big one, everybody is shooting that big deer.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
So explain, because I think I'm on to, I do a lot of the same things you do when you're scouting something, but polish up for guys listening and for myself when you kick them up. Tell us why you're kicking them up and what you're looking for, because I've tried to explain this. I'm not a big fan of ruining things. However, when you need to break something down quick, I do exactly what you just said, but I'm interested to hear you finish that. So if you don't mind, when you're breaking down, obviously, a new piece of ground, go through your system when you're going to a new state or a new area or anything. How do you break it down, and you're kicking them up for what reason?
For one, it tells me right where they're at, because most of the time these big deer find these areas, and they're there for a reason, man. It's not just randomness. They're not just laying there today and tomorrow they're 3 miles away. It does happen in the woods. Deer's pattern change. I do see that. But in the big woods like that, really, unless you have some historical data to go off of, I don't really see any other way that is any more efficient than to go right in and find that kicking.
We're losing him there on his end. Hopefully he comes back.
Can you hear us? Talk to me, Goose.
Are you there?
Oh, there you are. You're back. We lost you there for a minute.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Go back to a big woods. You don't really think you're hurting anything? Fuck, we lost him again.
Are you there?
There.
Now we're there. I think are you there?
Yeah.
Think you've been spending a little too much time on Pornhub there. You're getting a little frequency waiver.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe that's my phone.
Okay, so anyways, going into the big woods, for me, I don't know any other way. It's more efficient than to go right in, kick these deer up and out of there, and sometimes I don't see them, but leave the sign around there. So I read that sign. I'm reading this sign in through there, and man, a lot of times in this area, these deer get in these pockets, these bowls, or these, I don't know, they get down in these bottoms or close to these bottoms on these secondary points, and they're hard to hunt based off the wind, thermals, and all that kind of stuff. They just find them areas, and it's just like they're bulletproof. So I try to find how they're entering or exiting, and kind of go from there based off that. And I'll jump right back in there. The next day, 5 days from then, I killed one. I think it was 5 days after I kicked him up. It's been a few years ago, and this was actually late season in December. I went in and was doing some scouting, kicked the deer up, came back later when the winds and stuff conditions were about the same, and jumped in there and got him right there at last light coming out of the same area, man. It's worked out. It's worked really well for me. I'll tell a story on one that I killed last year. I actually took my recurve, his first recurve deer that I've ever killed, and I was scouting through an area. I knew this big deer was in there. He was a 11 point. And he was using this area. I had some trail cam pictures of him all through the summer there, late August. And so I went in and I set up on it. I knew right where he was bedding at. So I went in and I set up on it. I hunted there a couple different nights. I didn't see him. I started looking around the edge of the field for tracks. There was no tracks from him. I'm like, man, what is going on there? So I dove right in on the day it was raining. I thought, what the hell? I'm going to get in there. I'm going to see what's going on. And I dove in there, and what I found was a guy had found the area and had a climbing stand. And this dude had literally been up and down this tree so much that he had ripped the bark almost completely off.
I'm sure that was quiet. I'm sure that was real stealthy as he was doing it, too.
Dude, he walked right through the middle of the bedding area to get to it. I mean, it was and he has a trail camera in there, too, on top of that. So I'm like, okay, well, the deer's gone. He's relocated. It's right on the edge of the public and private, so I was like, I don't have much room to work with here. I had a hunch that maybe the deer possibly could have moved up on this other little ridge. It was, 300-ish yards, somewhere around in that. So I just started slipping up through there. And sure enough, man, I went up through there, and I kicked him up. I just caught a glimpse of his rack as he jumped off the knob that he was bedding on. I thought, okay, well, I got him. So I'm going over there, and I'm looking the area over. I'm trying to learn everything, how he's getting in, how he's coming out. 50 minutes later, and the reason I know that is because I text my dad and I told him, I said, I just jumped this deer. 50 minutes later, this deer, he made a big loop, circles back in, and he was going to get my wind if he came down just a little farther, but he's coming right in toward the bed. 16 yards, he cleared a big tree, I drew back and hammered him.
That's an awesome story.
Same day, man. It was one of the hunts, like that really never happened to me again. It played out perfect, and I wasn't even in there thinking he would come back. I was in there trying to learn it, but the way it played out, it made me realize how, these deer, you take a coyote, they come in the bedding areas, they kick them up. I would bet, 50-60% of the time the deer do the same thing. They make a loop, come right back in there. That's where they want to be.
That's right.
In my opinion, that's where they want to be. So,
and they're ultra confident in their
setup.
They're in their setup. They know their nose, they know their eyes, they know their ears, and they know that your big sloppy ass human beings with your big fat wide feet that break every stick you step on. They know we can't get close to them on the ground without them being tipped off. So you can bump them to a certain degree on not on a regular basis, but you can bump them and you can learn them. I always, for me, it's usually like 3 times.
Really?
I think you can bump a deer a few times. I think we bump deer more than we realize it. I look at deer that I'm chasing, and I live in farm country, and I actually really respect guys that come from big woods hunting, because to me, farm hunting is just it's so simple. I got it figured out. I get it. However, big woods guys, they're like, man, this farm country hunting's tough. I guess it's what you come from, but
yeah, I agree with you. What I learned coming from the big woods per se to the farm country was finding the deer was easy, but the deer density is so much higher. You have to beat so many more deer to kill that one deer that you want to kill, coming out, if he comes out with the other deer.
That's a good point.
For me, that was a big eye opener, because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to slay these things over here. No, it was definitely a learning curve there for me, and trying to learn how to beat all the other deer, and setups and all that stuff.
So, dude, that's a great point. Anybody who's scratching their head over that one, I always say, like, I don't hunt deer, I hunt a deer. However, when I am hunting a deer, I am keeping track of every deer, and I don't want to piss off any of those deer. I don't want to offend any of them, because they're going to send my boy packing. And when you are, chasing a deer that you have a trail camera picture of, you can't be dicking around when you've got that 8-pointer. And I've had people tell me like, oh yeah, I spooked this, I threw a stick at this deer. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So that is a great point. You've got to be aware of everything in your surroundings when you're trying to work on a certain deer. You can't shun a pawn, because that pawn will screw the whole matchup.
I've been more relieved when a big buck's in front of you as opposed to an old doe, 100%. Like, old doe, man.
A doe with a fawn is such a pain in the ass to deal with.
Oh my God! And they'll stand there and blow and blow and blow, and then they'll leave and then come back and blow. Man, those things. Oh yeah.
It's so true. Yeah, you're right. They will run off, take the entire fucking herd with them, and then come back out 3 minutes later and stand there. It's like, bitch, leave.
I don't know how many times, man, I had that, especially early on hunting in the farm country. That was a big learning curve for me. I mean, so I can see why a guy coming from the bigger woods, maybe would scratch his head a little bit simply due to that fact. For me, that was the hardest thing to learn. Other than that, finding the deer, being able to use tracks in the field, ditch crossings, man. I mean, that was, if you don't utilize tracks, in my opinion, in farm country, dude, you're missing the boat.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. This is good. This is good advice. Really good advice. What was I just going to say, Kevin? Kevin, think of something good to say.
I mean, you've got a list of questions.
So we got a list of questions that people posted, and we were just going to answer them, and it's like, nah, I'm going to have Justin rip through some of these too. So give us your 2 cents on a couple of these questions, and I'll throw my 2 cents in, and Kevin can throw his in, and give these guys some feedback. This Joseph Sylvester Van Beek messages us and says, any experiences taking bucks on the ground when a tree stand is not an option? Any advice or mistakes you could share? I mean, you just gave a great description of killing one on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've killed a few deer on the ground, and I've actually gone to that a lot more the last couple of years. It's just so simple. A lot of times, you get off work, you're rushed around, you just don't have time to jack around with stands and get them up. And plus, sometimes getting in tight on the deer, they're loud. So many advantages to hunting on the ground, I think. And the biggest thing is just, I think, knowing how they're going to come by you. And you really have to know, you really have to have some cover. You have to be, I usually try to jump in like a treetop or something like that, like get something to where I can move around a little bit, because most of the time you're going to have to, you're drawing your bow, you're doing whatever, you're going to have a little bit of movement there. I don't know, man. Hunting on the ground to me is been huge. It keeps me more mobile. I use a lone wolf and the stick talons, which I'll give a shout out to Ryan on those things. Those things are awesome, and being able to take my sticks to the bottom of the stand and run a gun. But hunting on the ground the past few years, that's really opened my eyes to a lot more. And like the question said, there's certain areas where these big deer, I don't know if it's they learn that they're safe in there, whatever it be. They use areas where there's no trees. So I mean, in order to kill them deer, you have to learn how to hunt on the ground, and it can be done. I think it's a confidence thing.
That's right.
A lot of guys, I think it's a big confidence thing.
I would add to that. I think you're spot on. I would add to that. You can hunt on the ground in certain circumstances. I think there are certain circumstances you should never be on the ground, and you're screwing up your little pocket by being on the ground. And I think there's certain caliber guys that can get away with it and certain caliber guys that can't. And sometimes I see guys that they're like, yeah, I still hunted through here. And it's like, oh my God, you just ruined everything. You're literally screwing yourself. Numerous times I've killed a lot on the ground out west, not in this farm country. Where I'm from, I would not recommend hunting on the ground unless you have a phenomenal amount of confidence and banking on a situation, and you don't go there and literally hunt constantly for this deer. You say, fuck it, I'm making a move, I'm killing this deer tonight. He's going to come here, I'm going to stand in these cattails. I have no shooting lanes, my shot's going to be right here, I'm fucking going for it. That's the only time for me in this area I hunt on the ground. When it seems like every time I've put myself in a situation around here, I've been like, sweet, this deer, I've seen him 3 times right here. I'm going to get in there. and I think you're going to smile when I say this, because if you don't, you're an asshole. I want you to smile.
Okay.
Every time I have done this, I've gotten in a spot and I'm like, I'm good. This is good. I'm in literally just like you said, I'm in a crotch of a tree, down a treetop. This is good. I get all comfortable. I've got the sticks cleared out. I can move my feet. I'm comfortable. Fucking wait an hour. Deer start to move. It's first deer I see, I'm like, fuck, I'm naked. I can't move. Everything. As soon as the deer step out, it's like, fuck. They are so, when you're eye to eye with them, oh, I wasn't expecting this fawn to come out behind me and stand here and sniff and jump around. And you if you're going to hunt on the ground, I'll reply to Joseph, if you're going to hunt on the ground, I think it really depends on the situation, and you've really got to have your homework done and your shit together, because once you're on the ground, you can't get away with much movement.
Right.
You can't get away with much sound. You've really, when you're in the tree stand, it really takes away their ears to a certain degree, and it takes away their vision. They still got you with their nose, but you can get away with a lot of movement and a lot of noise. When you're on the ground, forget about it.
Right. I think 100%, man, and something you said there that I'd like to touch on is, when you're going in for the kill at night. And I'll be honest, on most of my sets, most of the time anymore, for me, if I'm going in to hunt, that's what I'm doing. I'm going in and I'm killing. If not, I do tons and tons of in-season scouting. Tons of it. I mean, I'm looping around ditches, checking crossings, checking field edges, this and that and the other, The actual time hunting anymore is a lot less. Until I find something and I feel, and then I'm going in there like you said, and it's usually a one-time deal, maybe twice if I feel I slipped in and out and didn't alert any deer or whatever. But yeah, you do it going in on the ground, man. If you're one of them guys that likes to sit back and enjoy your phone a little bit while you're hunting or what, dude, you just throw that out the window, because you have to be super still and super alert of what's going on around you.
Yeah, 100%. Justin, I think you're going to be my new best friend. You're literally, Kevin's smiling.
Yeah, you guys, I can't believe you guys don't know each other. You have like the same exact playbook. It's crazy. What you just said is like, I literally preach. I rarely, and I'll tell people, they're like, man, you must hunt all the time. And it's like, I really don't hunt much. I don't actually, I always take my bow, but I'm actually not hunting. A lot of times, I'm glassing from a distance, or I am literally covering hedgerows looking for certain things, or walking laneways, or glassing and making a decision. If I'm sitting in a tree stand, I a lot of times will sit in what I call observation stands. They're stands that you couldn't kill a deer out of to save your life, but you can see 5 different focal points that I want to see. I can glass, I can do reconnaissance. Once I am like, I'm going hunting, I'm fucking something, I'm probably going to draw my bow. If I draw my bow, something's probably going to get shot. I mean, that's
right.
I'm going for it. But I don't go for it without really good reconnaissance. There's a reason I'm there. And I wanted to touch base on what you were saying earlier about kicking the deer up too. You're doing that very educated as well. Educated meaning you're looking for something. You're not looking to go in there and fuck up everybody's hunting, and you're looking literally when you do that type of thing. I do the exact same thing when I hunt out of state, because I don't know the ground. If I see a truck parked there and there's an obvious, somebody's obviously hunting, I avoid it like the plague, especially if it's a trailhead or something. If I'm 2.5-3 miles in the Wayne National Forest in Ohio, and I don't really see anybody, then I'm fine with kicking them up, especially scouting. I mean, preseason. When you kick them up like that, I do the exact same thing that you do. A lot of times I'll back out. I'll figure out where I'm going to hang a stand or how I can kill them there, but I'll try and go back a day or two later and see if they're there again. If you kick them out again, start there. That's a good spot. Yeah. But you're doing it I hate to see people just walking around, and I kind of wanted to make sure we both mention, or at least me, like I can already tell talking to you, you're a respectful dude. You're not fucking people over by going in and blowing deer out. So I don't want to teach somebody like, yeah, just go walk all over the place and bump deer. But Ryan,
I'll say too. I mean, this is okay. So it's Mark Twain National, dude. There is thousands upon thousands of acres there, and you can literally drive down these gravel roads, and you can just stop anywhere along the road. It's Mark Twain both sides. Park your truck right there and take off. I'm never going into them areas when there's anyone even remotely near. I don't think a lot of guys know how to bow hunt it. If it ain't rut, if the rut ain't on in there, the pressure, it's honestly pretty low.
You're 100%. You're 100%.
They don't know how to hunt it. Yeah.
Yep. So. Yep. Yeah. Well, and what you just said about not going in at a trailhead or a parking location, a lot of times I have literally parked my truck. A lot of times I'll take a mountain bike with me as well. I always feel like I don't want, even though nobody cares who I am, out of state, nobody knows what I'm doing.
Right.
But I will still mountain bike a mile down the road and then shove it in the weeds, and not going in at an access point. It's great. It seems like
huge.
it's huge, and
yeah.
So Ryan,
it's funny.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask one of the other questions because I'll end up rambling forever.
It's funny in that terrain too. A lot of times, you're not parking at like a designated parking area like that, and you jump in. You go 80 yards inside the woods, and boom, you jump up an ice buck sitting there watching the gravel road. It's like, holy crap,
100%.
Because I'll usually be going along, and I'm looking for maybe some sign crossing the road or what, looking on the edges for tracks or whatever, and you slip in there, and I don't know how many times, man, these deer are not that literally watching. They are literally watching people, so.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and you have nothing to lose, especially when you're out of state and you're hunting public land. If you're out of state, you have nothing else to do except hunt. So if nothing's moving and it's 11 o'clock and you decide to get out of your tree stand, do not go back to the hotel or the camper or whatever. Fucking beat a piece of ground up and do just that. Check the edges of the roads and stuff like that. I've had so much success and enjoyment of finding little pockets by doing just that.
And amen on that.
Yeah. Ryan Cole writes, what's your approach to finding and locating a big buck to hunt with or without cameras? And then he says, which I like what he says here. He says, I feel like I'm wasting a lot of my time sitting spots in quotations, hoping, which I fucking hate, hoping something good is going to come by. Seems like guys such as yourself and Andy May have got something dialed that I haven't figured out yet. It seems to me it would be a lot like turkey hunting. After you locate them, at least you're in the game, so you're close. And then when it really comes down to strategizing. So we kind of just touched base on what Ryan was saying, and you sound a lot like me. If I'm sitting in a tree stand, there's a fucking reason I'm there. I am not hoping. It almost makes me sick to be like, I have no reason to be here. This is stupid. So how would you answer? No, I can't either because I got shit to do. Or I'd rather be glassing. I can't see shit here. This is a kill stand. So what would a quick reply to what's your approach to finding, locating a big buck to hunt? So you kind of touch base with that. Say in your new farm country without covering ground and bumping deer, what's one of your other tactics to just finding a big buck to hunt?
Well, in farm country there, I think you can get away a lot more with, for me personally, depending on the time of year, you can utilize, obviously, glassing in the farm country. If you got beans, you can see out there and the deer coming out. So it's, varies on time of the season. But, man, walking the edges of the fields and stuff, I mean, a big deer, 90% of the time he's going to have a track that's going to stand out.
That's right.
The rest of the deer. It may not be a big deer here, probably in a big Canada or whatever, big track in Canada, but in that area, if you look at the general tracks of the deer herd, there's going to be, if you see a bigger track, odds are that's probably a decent buck, mature, respectable deer for that area. Well, game on it for me. I'm going to start putting the other pieces of the puzzle together. So that's my approach, man. Big rubs, big ball sign rubs and stuff in the woods. You can't overlook that stuff. I think a lot of those get wrote off like, guys, there's rubs everywhere, and if I get into these areas I see tons of rubs, like tons of little rubs everywhere, I just walk right up and buy it. I know it's a 2.5-year-old deer. There's no sense in me wasting my time.
I think I love Ryan. I think I love him.
It's just, I think guys really try to make it more difficult than what it is. My personal opinion, I think that there's some stuff that it's just like, the approach to it's just like, man, there's got to be some secret that these guys know. It's really not. It's really just using some woodsmanship, man, some common sense, I think, along the way. And like you and me, I grew up in the woods. I've been in the woods my whole life. So you learn to pick up on things, I think, that other guys are walking by. So
yeah, Justin, I just called you Ryan because I'm reading Ryan's text message. I meant to say I love Justin because your point is that's a great point, and I think this is one that you've trained yourself. I've trained myself, and if you're not thinking this way, take a second and think about this. My daughters are 12, 9, and 8. When we go for a walk, they will pick on a big track. They will say, "Whoa, Dad, hey, look at, he's setting his dew claws. This is a good deer. Oh, look how long his toes are compared to these does." I cannot walk through the fucking woods. I struggle at shed hunting because I am constantly looking for tracks and looking at the terrain around me and trying to figure out how to kill one, because I'm not looking for shed antlers. I'm looking at tracks, and it's not that I'm trying to, it's that I can't help it. I can't, it's kind of like walking through a titty bar. It's like, man, I can't even focus. I can't even focus. And it's the same with tracks. Like, I gotta look at them. And when something amazing stands out, bingo. You don't need trail cameras. If you don't have expensive binoculars, or if you can't glass, do exactly what Ryan said, or Jesus Christ, do exactly what Justin said. You find a track, there's a big deer there. Then you've got to sit back and figure out how to lay eyes on this deer, how to figure this deer out. And it really depends on the type of terrain you're hunting in. I'm not sure where Ryan's from, but it really, a lot of the answers anybody will give you on any of these questions are really, they're dictated on what style of hunting it is. And I've always said that my style in hunting from New York is different to Ohio, to Illinois, to Kansas, to Montana, to Arizona, New Mexico. It's going to change with everywhere you go. It'll change in my area from county to county, because we go from farm country where I'm at. You drive west here just a little bit, southwest, and you're kind of in the big hills and the mountains of, in the timber. So it really depends on that. And that's just being out there and figuring things out.
Right.
Mark Dunn writes, more F-bombs, keep it real. I love Mark Dunn. So Mark Dunn is a good dude. I don't have the private message. We send each other back and forth, but he appreciates our straight upness, and we had a great conversation. Seems like a good dude. He's in Ohio, and we're gonna go down and catch up with him at one of these points.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Dan Zahler writes, you're preparing to start scouting hunting a new property. When you're scouting via topo and satellite map, and then on foot, what are you looking for? Go ahead, Justin.
Diversity, a bunch of different terrain and stuff kind of coming together.
Yep.
For me, that's a great place to start. You get a bunch of, say it's a clear cut, you got a field down here, you got a ditch, you got a creek, you got a ridge top, and all that kind of stuff's kind of coming together. For me, that's a great place to start. Deer love edges, deer edge, man, and all that, push them right into one little area. I actually did that not too long ago. I went in and checked an area, looking along edges, and just got on the map, and I kind of drew each edge in a different color, and was looking at how they all kind of came together in this one area. And I went in there and I found some really great sign. I'm excited to check that out next season. That's the topo stuff and all that. And man, reading maps is a great way to start, but I hear guys all the time like, man, I went in and hunted this area based on a map. I can't do that. I'm not that. I don't know what they know that I don't know, but reading a map and going into an area to hunt, I can't do. But to scout, looking for diversity, a bunch of different terrain features coming together, is kind of a good starting point for me. And then I'm looking for sign from there,
Justin, I love it. I love it because I'm the same way. Obviously I have Onyx, and I will, my one tip, I will look at I always look at topos like everybody. And it's amazing to me. I'll look at something like, man, this looks good over here. This looks good over there. I looked at Kevin has an amazing piece of ground to hunt. Once I get in there, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be here. I want to be here. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. And people think they're geniuses at reading these topo maps, and this is going to be great. No, you need to fucking burn some boot leather, get in there.
Yes.
And what I like to do with my not strong point, what I do with topo maps is, in my mind, I have a few different things, a few different spots that are my favorite spots. I know exactly what they look like on a topo map. I know why the deer are there. I know where they live in these little spots. I look for those exact same spots or type of layouts on topographical maps. It's hard to explain it, but one of my favorite spots is this little tiny L. It's an L woods, and it goes up to a big woods. It's the tip of a woods. If I were to look at it on a topographical map and didn't know this pocket, I would never pick it. I would start right in the thick spot, and it's a killer. I've killed so many good deer out of this spot. When I go to other states, I look for something that echoes or has the same symmetry as what I know is good. So if you have a spot that is back home, your grandpa's back 40, and you know in this back 40, it's this southeast edge is amazing. Look for that southeast edge somewhere else. Look for
That's a great point, man. That is a very great point.
Duplicate it.
Yep.
It's look for something that you're confident in. It's just like when you're when I wrestled, I would always look for, if I tied up with somebody and he was really strong, I would always push them backwards because I knew they would want to prove how strong they're, and they push me back, and then I'd throw them because he'd use their strength against them. And look for something that you have confidence in. I know that this L is good. I know that the tip of this is always good. Oh, look here's one of them on this fucking Blackwoods. So look for that. It's not something I can point out to somebody. You have to evaluate what you know is good and then try and find it somewhere.
Right.
So that would be my tip, because I'm just like you. I am not good at reading topographical maps other than knowing I gotta dive in and just put boot leather to the ground.
Right. And I think some guys like blow that way out of proportion too on that stuff, and like, I don't know, maybe it's an attention. I don't know what it is, man. Some of them guys that get on, because I used to think, well, man, maybe I can start using these maps to my advantage, and and you start going in these areas, and you may find something, you may not, but deer, everything is so situational with deer, man. It's all just, for one, going into an area like that is timing. Those deer are probably not in that area all season long, so it's a timing deal. It's just, there's so many different factors, I think, that go into all that stuff into the equation. Like time of year you're hunting, you're going to be looking for different things versus rut or late season or whatever it be. So
no, you're 100%, dude. Yeah, that's, and that comes from experience. So it does. I mean, it comes from realizing, all right, this is the time. So Taylor, I don't even know how to pronounce Taylor. He's French. This sounds very fancy. Renadot. I'm not sure how. Taylor, I botched your name, dude. I'm sorry. And it sounds like his question we kind of already touched base on, but he says your approach to finding and targeting mature bucks in a short window early season. We had kind of touched base on that, and I think he does. How do you do early season in your neck of the woods? That's actually a good question. I guess we didn't talk about early season, because I personally, my home state, I don't live in a Mecca state where I'm going to kill a giant deer. I mean, the 150 is giant for us, so I don't really care in New York if I kill a 135 or a 150. I'd rather just have a good hunt, get a big, a mature deer killed, and go to the next state. But I love getting them, pinwheeling them early season, and that's kind of my forte in my home state. How do you do in your state? Do you try and kill early and go to another state, or you're focusing mainly on your home state?
No, I do, man. I kill early. I've actually, this year was kind of an exception. I got hung up on a specific deer that was a giant, and chased this thing around. Kind of get off on a tangent here on this.
No, that's fine. Tell us a story, Kevin. Well, Kevin is smiling. He loves deer hunting stories. And he's like, we need to get people to tell us stories. Tell us.
How he was bedding in a hedgerow right off of a public land parking lot, literally watching everybody that entered next to, and everybody, there's this, kind of one trail that goes on, they go on a bigger woods, and there's more ag going out through that way. So anyways, I located him and had some trail camera pictures and whatnot of him. And so I tried to hunt this deer and tried to do it without making it obvious, which was very tough because this piece was getting some pressure. There was vehicles in there and whatnot. So
you tried not to make it obvious to the deer or to the people?
To the people.
Okay.
Like it was very difficult to get in there. And there was literally right around the edge of the parking lot was some fields. So, once you take off, you're leaving boot prints if it's wet, and it was wet this year. So I just had to be real methodical on how I approached this deer. And I got in there and I hunted him a few times. Man, got my chance, come out. I kind of misjudged the yards, but long story short, I shot, missed him, just completely sick, man. I haven't missed a deer in years.
How big are we talking? I gotta be able to picture this now.
Over 160.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was sickening.
Public land too, right?
Yeah, public land at that, man. So I missed the deer. I go back and I'm beating myself up that night. I mean, I'm just beating myself up, thinking like, what in the hell happened there? Like everything felt good. The shot, the release, everything just felt good. The next morning, as soon as it got light, I'm out there shooting in the yard. Somehow or another, I knocked my sights way off. I don't know. I knocked my top pin way down. So. That's what happened basically. So I went back up a few more times. I didn't connect. We left on a little family vacation in November. During that time, a buddy of mine that hunts around that piece of public in rifle season said a guy connected on it. Yeah. I was pretty upset on that deer, and man, it kind of took the wind out of my sails. I hate getting caught up on a specific deer. I told myself I'm not going to do that shit, and then you get a big one like that on camera, and I do it. So
this is not the end. This is not the happy ending I was really hoping for.
No, it's not. It was you know what I mean? You got to tell them stories because 100% all of us. So yeah, I didn't connect on that deer. I did end up getting a couple others that were good, respectable deer for this area. So
no, you're right. You got to tell those stories. I caught a bit of flack a couple weeks ago. We posted a little video about a buck that I missed, and Kevin and I agreed. It's good to talk about your misses. My one buddy calls me. He's like, "Yeah, that was real relatable, real great. You missed him. You killed him the next day." He's like, that is not a story people want to relate to. They want to hear where you just down and out missed and you're throwing up. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of. And I have piles of those stories, but yeah, no, you're right, man. Yeah. I mean, it's and I don't like to get hung up on them either. And actually, the deer that I missed, I did get hung up on. I mean, I had a hard time focusing. I really needed to get that deer killed. It wasn't fun. Like sometimes ruins your not your season, but it's hard to focus on anything. And I had that deer within bow range numerous times. In New York, we have two different seasons. You have a bow tag and then you have a gun season tag. And you can still kill them with the bow during gun, but I had this deer within bow range, but I was already tagged out and had to let him go. You want to talk about sickening. Oh. And then when our gun tag came in and I could use the gun tag, I missed him. But and I actually couldn't get on him. I couldn't get on him at that point. It took me a week to actually get him killed. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah, and I hate to tell them stories too, but I mean, you got to be honest on that stuff. That deer, you learn a lot of lessons on chasing those big deer too, man. I mean, it's taught me more lessons than just going out and scouting in the woods, chasing some big deer around, that I did or did not connect on. Tell me so much from them things.
Tell me something. I'm always humbled, and every year I think like I'm getting, and I think we are. And Andy May is a huge student of just getting better and getting better and getting better. And I joked with him like, I'm good enough. I don't care. I can kill shit. I'm joking, but
right.
I'm always amazed how every year I'm humbled, and it's like fuck, I can't believe like I learned something huge. And I think that is a habit of people who tend to kill big things. Every year it seems like there is something that I'm like, son of a bitch. You got any son of a bitch moments where it's like that you can tell us another quick little? I know you got to get going because we should point out to everybody that Justin is sitting in a basketball parking lot waiting for his daughter to get out of practice. So you're definitely one of us. My daughter's just pulled in. Did you see the van pull in the driveway? They just came back from softball practice tonight, softball indoor. Yeah.
We're good, man. I can shush her when she comes out to the practice, and we can keep on. We're good.
Well, she's cool then, yeah.
Gosh, man, trying to think of one off the top of my head.
My aha moment, I'll throw it what you think. I would say this year, one of my aha moments is just like in life, I think I'm really good at when somebody's having a hard time, giving them good advice. Whether it's dealing with their wife, dealing with, I'm good at, I think I'm fairly decent at saying, listen, this isn't the end of the world. Get your shit together. You got a lot going on for you. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. However, when I'm in that situation, I can't seem to take my own fucking advice. So I always preach to people. I get not a lot of phone calls, but I probably get 8 or 10 phone calls a year. Like, hey, Jesse, this is so-and-so. I just stuck a pretty good deer with an arrow. Can you come help me look for it? And it's like, fuck. So I'll go, and they'll say, well, he was right here and he was quarter to me. And I'm always like, yeah. And I don't want to I don't want to lecture them, especially when they're in that situation. But I always say, you know what, we'll do the best we can and we'll try and find the deer, but you really got to slow yourself down when you're in these kill situations. It's not the end of the world if you don't get this deer killed. Wait for a good shot, because this feeling that you have right now makes you sick. However, my aha moment this year was, I'm in that situation twice. The deer the early season, I drilled him. However, it was a long shot, and the bow actually just went off. I didn't even mean to shoot, but I kind of really wanted to get that deer killed early. I didn't take my own advice. I didn't wait for a chip shot. I mean, I had this deer. There was no reason for me to take it was a good poke. I really centered him, and I think the only reason I centered him was because instinct took over, and I literally drew, and I wasn't sure, and all of a sudden the bow just went off. But I didn't take my own advice that I give everybody else. Slow down. You don't need to, wait for a perfect shot. You don't need this fucking deer. When I missed that second deer, he wasn't going anywhere. What's the big deal? Why are you being so spastic? My aha moment was just that. Shut up sometimes. Don't be so... I don't take my own advice. So when you're in these situations, think about what is right and fucking do it. Because we all get caught up, and sometimes I'm really good about... I've let some deer walk that are great deer because I didn't have a perfect shot, and I'm proud of that. And then there's other times it's like, fuck, why did you take that shot? So that would be my aha for this year. It's like, take your own advice, slow the fuck down, take perfect shots, and get shit killed. You're not always going to get a perfect shot, but take a good one.
Right. I think one thing that I learned, kind of going, off on that, is this year I actually passed up the biggest deer I've ever passed with a bow this year.
Like what?
In the Missouri. He was well over the mid 140s as an 8-point. I mean,
that's a big
8 point. But I was chasing this other deer that I knew was up in the 160s, and I sat there and I drew back on him. I even settled the pin and everything, and I thought, nope, I told myself I'm going after this deer, so I did it, and I let it down, and he walked off, and I'm like, the hell are you thinking? But
that's huge. That's a huge notch in your belt.
I could have moved on from then, man. I could have killed that deer there, and I could have jumped either Arkansas or Kentucky or whatever. So I think getting caught up on a specific deer is something that really taught me fear. I'm not going to do it, but I'm really going to try to not do that. Try to kill, because I pink with that deer, that I passed up, but knowing that other deer was there, and trying to chase and kill the biggest deer, that I know of anyways in the area, I think sometimes gets me. So
100%, that gets all of us, and that's a personal, that's something that people got to know where they're at. If now you sound like a guy, I obviously don't know your background and all that, but I can already tell by talking to you, you've got piles of antlers laying everywhere. You are the type of guy like myself. You know what? Let somebody else kill that 140. There is nothing wrong with eating a tag, but also if that 140 comes out and you drill them, fuck. Awesome, because we all get caught up. I'm pretty bad about getting caught up on chasing shit in state, out of state, and sometimes it turns into not even fun, and sometimes you just got to say, fuck it and let it rip.
Right. I think that's the thing, man. We all do this because we love it, and you love to chase down the deer, and sometimes it's like, man, sometimes you put so much pressure on yourself, or you're so goal oriented that you're just you can almost take the fun out of it. And I think that's one of the things I've learned the last few years is like, man, get back to enjoying this a little bit. I started hunting. I loved it. Loved being in the outdoors. And sometimes I put so much weight on myself that I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing out here? Like, get back to enjoying this. So
yeah, it's, that's a great, we could do a show on just that, because anybody who's serious, or not serious, but I mean, anybody who's always pushing to get to the next level. I mean, I don't know how many friends I've had this conversation with when they're chasing a big deer, and then they're like, fuck, I don't know if somebody hit him. I don't know if am I chasing a fucking ghost? I'm passing up 150, 160 inch deer, and I'm not, me personally. I spoke that wrong. I've got friends that have literally passed up great deer, and they're like, fuck, I don't even know. I just passed up 160 incher tonight. I don't even know if the 180 I'm chasing is even alive.
Right.
And it kind of makes us all sick. And you're right. Sometimes there is numerous times. Fuck. Truthfully, by the time I hate New York gun season, because it's just a rape and pillage and ruin and just ruin everything, ruin the future. I just hate it. And I always say to my wife, I literally say, I cannot fucking wait for hunting season to be over. I cannot wait till the Orange Army gets the fuck out of here and these morons just stop. I hate it. It makes me sick.
I'm the same way, man, in Missouri. And I hate to say that because I got a lot of buddies that love. Personally, I'm just like 90% of the time, if I am chasing a big deer and rifle season comes on, he ends up getting. He drives, they push these areas, these deer run out across these big fields, and it's just like, I mean, these dudes are just unloading their guns at them. They get really wounded. I'll end up finding, I don't know, man. I find a lot of dead deer. Make it back to their beds, dying there. At them, I'm like, it's either a great deer or next year that deer would have been a stud, and I'm just like, it just makes me ill to see that. And I know that comes from rifle season. These guys see something, you got a 308,
send it,
covering. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
you there?
Yeah, we lost you a little bit there. You there? Yeah, we can hear you. Let me ask you this: Do you think the deer drives are getting lesser?
I do.
I do too. I think as much as I complain, and I still like to complain because everybody likes to whine here and there, but I am happy with the huge deer party drives, mainly around here, have slowed down because the ground has gotten posted up. But I do think that guys have become more observant to, oh shit, this, I'm not going to shoot this deer. I am going to there's been more trophy deer killed around here in the last 10 years than there has in the last 30.
Right.
And I am happy about that. And even the gun hunting guys, I mean, I sit here and, I am a diehard bow hunter, and I don't mean to bash gun hunters. In rifle just became legal here in New York. How long ago?
Probably 5 years ago now.
God, it's been 5 years?
It probably has, yeah.
Well,
really?
Yeah, so we used to have to hunt with shotguns, which is just a complete slob gun, and that's when deer drives were big. I always loved hunting with a muzzleloader, but I gotta admit, I am a diehard. I don't know how many I've bow killed. I mean, I've probably bow killed over 200 whitetails. Tons of does, obviously, but I just love shooting with a bow. However, I got one of those 6.5 Creedmoors this year. Holy fuck! That is so enjoyable to sit with a good rest and shoot a doe at 350 yards. It's just unbelievable. And hit her and just zero pain. She just in the shoulder, ka-clunk. So I can see how man, I can see how rifle hunting is addicting. The deer driving thing, I can't even fathom how anybody would want to do that. I feel like
I can't either.
Rounding up fucking cattle, and what accomplishment. And somebody's gonna hate us for this. I don't give a fuck. That is not hunting. That's a fucking joke. You're shooting at running and they're like, oh, I can knock them down. Shut the fuck up. I'll bet you $100 I'll roll a tire out there at 150 yards and you will not hit it with all 5 slugs. Fuck you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, man.
We're losing them again.
Are you there?
Yeah, we lost you. You were just about to bash gun hunters. Go ahead with that.
Well, no, no, I'm just saying, it's just a wounded party. These guys, they see them, they run across the field, man, they're throwing lead at them.
Yep.
I totally agree with you there. I will say there are guys that know what they're doing. They do these little intentional bumps, and they've scouted that area out, and they know the exits, and, I mean, it's a totally different deal. Some of these...
You're right. There are artists to it, and they will know nope, we approach this woods from this way. We let our scent blew through there. We set this guy up here. They're definitely tactical guys at it. However, with every one of those groups, there's a 350-pound beer guzzling, cigar smoking, fucking head on backwards, sunglasses are on his fucking head backwards, and throwing fucking lead, wounding shit. But I can't stand it. But I guess that's is your daughter there?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Tell whenever you got to bounce, it's no problem. I feel like I've learned from you already. I really love the things that you've said. I can already, like, you have it. You have what you have it. It's interesting to hear you talk. Mainly, I think you have it because you pretty much recite everything I say. So I think you're a fucking genius.
Yeah, that's what I just really listened to your podcast lately. So I'm trying to
just if I could teach my wife to echo what I say, that'd be great.
Yeah, you learned that one, buddy. We are gonna have some conversation. I gotta figure that one out.
With that being said, you're married, right?
Oh yeah.
Good woman, right?
Yeah, she's a good woman.
I think that has
hard worker.
You're a good dude. I think that has a lot to do with a fella's success too. Having a good woman backing you up and being like, don't worry about it, I got the kids tonight. That's fucking huge. So I literally, if my wife needs something or wants something, I don't care what I have to do to make her smile. I'll do it because it gives me a little freedom during hunting season or all the time. I don't do it and I don't do it for that reason, but you're the type of guy I can tell your wife is probably a pretty awesome woman.
Yes.
And we wouldn't put up with anything less, right?
Well, you got to have that, man. Otherwise, I mean, if you don't have, and I've heard guys talk about this, if you don't have your home life intact and you're going on a hunt, dude, you're not in the hunt. You're thinking about stuff back home. You're stressing over this, or it's like you can't focus on what you're doing. And I've been there before, so yeah, you got to have those ducks in a row there, I think, and having a good woman is key.
100%. Justin, you are. I love it. I'm literally I'm gonna have to road trip. We should go shed hunting. Hey, what's shed hunting like out in your neck of the woods? We should make a shed hunting trip out to meet this guy.
Yeah. Hey, I'm game, man. It's so it's good. I mean, it's not I don't know.
Either that or we could just meet somewhere. We could meet in Illinois, beat some ground up. We should do that. Just fucking jump on the truck on a Thursday and fucking crown out there.
I do want to go to Missouri though. I've been to St. Louis, so flying in was kind of neat. You're probably how much further south are you than St. Louis?
About 3 hours.
Yeah. So no, look,
3 hours.
Look, that was like big ag area there when we were flying in. But
St. Louis is yes, that area is.
But no, I definitely.
You get further west, and it turns more into your big timber and stuff, your hills and whatnot. So
yeah, no, I'd love to get to Missouri.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I feel like we cut him off. You were gonna say something. I don't know what you were gonna say, Justin.
No. I'm just going on with you guys. You're good. We
were talking shed hunting, I think, too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say the shed hunting is so. I mean, I don't find a pile of them looking for it either. A lot of times, like you said earlier, I'm looking for sign. I'm looking for a specific deer. I'm looking for something. And I think that's a big thing that I don't know that we have talked about. A lot of times this time of the year, which is preached a lot, go in and learn your areas. I do that. That way, if a big deer shows up in that area, I most likely know where he's going to be and know how to hunt him and where I can get into and whatnot.
Dude, that is a great point, and I'm embarrassed that I don't even think I've said that in a podcast yet. This is the only time ever to just go fucking turn over every stick and limb and fucking look under every piece of brush, walk where you always have been interested in walking. And when you do it, study the sign that you see right now, which is great, but study the rut sign. Was there any deer here in fucking November? Are there any scrapes? And you can usually tell a velvet rub where they just cleaned off their antlers as opposed to a rut rub where they are literally shredding a fucking tree. And try and figure out the timeline and where they're at. And if you see big, a lot of guys shed hunt, which I love to shed hunt, but it doesn't mean that there's going to be deer there in October or November. It means that it's a good food source and it's an easy place for them to live in the winter. So just because you find big sheds, don't throw all your eggs in that basket because there might not be shit there come October. But that's a great point, Justin. Anybody who's wants to kill a big buck in 2020, It starts like right now is such a fun time. You don't even have to wear camo, which I like. I like just putting on my jeans. I only have 45 minutes. I'm going to go drive somewhere and just beat up a piece of ground, check it out, walk out. I'm not hurting anything. I'm not screwing anybody's hunting up. I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. I'm not bumping any big deer. I'm learning the ground.
And especially if you've been chasing like a deer, you've seen a big deer in that area, dive in there, learn that area, go see what the sign shows, and go from there. Because most of the time, even if that deer was killed, likely next year there's going to be another one moving through around that same time.
We lost him again. We lost you.
You there, Justin?
Yeah, I'm losing you guys a little bit too here. I don't know what's going on, but
there we got you.
Are you there?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
We got to get you to just park it at we got to get you to go to like a cell tower and take this a little more serious. Let's break it in.
I think it might have been my headphone set there that I was talking on. So.
Oh, you actually sound a lot better right now.
Okay, well, my bad. I should have.
Let's start right from the beginning.
Hey, dude, I can talk whitetails all night long.
Me too. It's exciting to talk to somebody like you. It's your tactics. I love it, and you know what you're talking about. You bring up really good points that a lot of times I skip past.
Well, I mean, dude, you make some great points too. That even has turned the light on in my head. So. I think that's what's great about you get some guys together that know what they're doing and bounce ideas around. That's where guys can really learn a lot. And in a podcast and all that, I mean, you can listen, you can read every book, you can do all this stuff. Man, you got to go out there.
You got to do it.
Dive in and learn it. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you got to be a student of it. And you're on the Hunting Beast quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I have heard so many good things about that Hunting Beast from numerous people, and I'm just not a Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great site. I'll be honest. I think the last few years you're getting a lot more new guys on there, kind of asking some of the same questions that have been touched on in the past.
That's all right.
That's part of learning. There is a lot of great information tucked away in that site, man. There really is. And if guys want to get started. Dude, that's a great place to go and start and learn.
Yeah, it seemed like it. I haven't been on there much. I started an account and just barely did anything, but I was impressed with the integrity. It seemed like the guys, like somebody started, is it Cokes? I think Cokes or something, started a one on our podcast and just brought it up, which was cool. I loved how people wrote what they liked and didn't like. I got to go back through there and read the comments and stuff and reply back, but it was a very, everybody on there was cool as shit. And I liked that even the guys that didn't agree with our podcast, at least instead of saying these guys suck, they were like, I didn't really care for it because of this, this, and this. I wish they'd do more of this. And it's like, you know what? Thank you actually they're good dudes. They're telling you how you can get better. And then there's other dudes that are like, you know what? I appreciate your opinion. That didn't mean anything to me. I like it because it's this, this, and this. I was actually a little... not scared, but like I don't even want to get the feedback, and even the not so positive feedback was great feedback, and I was tickled pink with it. And you could tell these guys are killers because the things that interested them and the things that they said, it's like they're not out to be keyboard heroes. They're literally making a valid point. So that was a podcast I'd want to do sometime is on networking, especially.
That is great, and you made a lot of great points there too with the guys that even if they said something negative or whatever, you're still learning from that. And that's a great way to look at that, man, because it's tough to take feedback sometimes on things like that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's and with that being said, nobody was I don't know, I have a positive attitude. Nobody offended me. A couple guys said things like which were great points. We went over them in a podcast. One of the guys wrote that our podcast was a mile wide and an inch deep, and it was so true. I get so amped up over hunting and talking. I won't go in depth on things. I'll just go from one thing to the next thing, and it was like I got to slow the fuck down.
I don't know if you've noticed that, Justin. He just talks a lot.
What's that? I missed that.
I don't know if you've noticed that Jesse can talk a lot. He can ramble.
What? Yeah, no, but it's great, man, because I can relate, and I understand what he's saying there, because when you already know something, you just take it for common knowledge, I think.
Dude.
So, like, if you touch base on something, it's like, okay, well, I already know this, so I'm going on. You're not really thinking about the next person, the guy that's listening or whatever. So it's easy to do that. And I do that with some friends and stuff, even going to the woods and we're walking by stuff and I'm pointing out stuff and they're like, good Lord, dude, what are you? It's just, I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you. And I didn't mean it to be disrespectful. I'll skip over things. And Kevin even told me, he's like, you can't say like that's simple or this is easy.
Right.
Because some things that are easy for me are difficult for other people. Some things that are easy for other people I can't seem to wrap my fucking mind around. When it comes to hunting, it clicks for me. It clicks, and I skip over things, and then I ramble on to the next thing. So when these guys on these, I love that whoever posted that hunting beast thing about our podcast, it really helped me at least, because getting that feedback, these guys saying that was great for me. It made me realize I gotta work harder at this. I gotta work harder at that. So,
right.
That was great. And skipping over things, just like you said, to me, it's kind of like, I don't really need to go into depth on that. That's a great topic to go in depth on. I should go in depth on that. But one of the points I wanted to make with this was networking. If you are a guy that's I always talk about, especially, I love hunting out of state. I love adventure. I like getting in my truck, kissing my kids goodbye, and being like, Daddy's gonna be back. It's Thursday. I'm gonna make a long weekend to Ohio, or I'm going for 8 days to Kansas. I like the excitement of it. However, I love just fuck it. I'm going away, even if I'm sleeping in the back of my truck. I love the adventure. There's a lot to be said for being excited for the weekend and hunting in your home state too. And one of the ways to get better, I don't do it anymore because I already have a good handle on my home state, and I have a pretty good handle on states where out of state. But if you are getting started or you are confused, getting on these Honey Beast forums, even and just reading these things and I'm amazed how reaching out to guys, somebody like you. If somebody's confused and sees somebody like you, if somebody sends you a private message, you're answering it. And you can, if you're a guy who wants to learn or confused, or you're like, man, how the fuck does this guy says he's, killing them early season. How is he doing it? Don't be afraid to get online and just study somebody, and reach out. Don't be annoying, but just reach out to them. And I'm amazed how many people have reached out to me, and I'll reply back to them, and they're like, wow, dude, thanks so much. I can't believe you actually replied to me. It's like, fuck.
Right.
I'm a regular fucking moron like the rest of it. I love talking hunting. So
dude, I've met some amazing guys on that site, some true straight up, Andy May being one of them. That's where we met, was on through that site there. And it is a great way, man. I agree. And it's something I think that myself even, I need to do a little bit maybe more of, like just reaching out to guys and just kind of touching base with certain areas and kind of what to expect in this area and whatnot. It's a great tool. It really is, and you got to use it. It's a great tool. And
one of the biggest tools that it does for you is it's encouraging. It keeps you amped up, and it shows you that this is doable. And I think, at least for me, I love success for myself, but I love seeing my friends successful. I like seeing my neighbors successful. I love seeing people go after shit. I hate when I come home from a hunt. I find it offensive when I come home and people are like, oh, it must be nice. Shut the fuck up. I fucking hate that. Like, go hunting. Right. And one of my biggest things with doing this podcast is to encourage people, fucking go and do it. Go hunt shit. Or become a master of your home state. Oh, it must be nice to kill big bucks. It is. It's fucking great. Yeah, I love it. You can do it too. And here's how.
The excuses, I hate them.
I
cannot stand it. Yeah. I don't. I hear you, man. I'm with you there.
All right, sounds good. Well, Kevin just gave me that. He just gave me the fucking kill it sign, because I'm probably rambling on and on. I could. You have a wonderful voice for radio, by the way, or podcast. Doesn't he? Are you about 6'6"?
No, man. No, I'm not at all. I'm not one of those guys. I'm about 5'10" and 200. So yeah.
I think we should plan our trip to Missouri.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm all up for it, to meet guys like you and Kevin or what, man.
What's the nearest airport?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. I'm gonna get on kayak tonight, and we should just do a long weekend. We should do hey, let me ask you this real quick. I wanted to ask you this. What are some other, this is how ignorant I am on bow hunting sites now. I used to go on Archery Talk 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago. What are some other good sites to check out for guys? Or is Hunting Beast the bomb? What are some good ones?
The Hunting Beast is the one that I've favored the most, man. That I think that has the most good information tucked away deep in it. One that I have been on a little bit here lately, and there is some good information on it. And a lot of it is based on saddle hunting, but the saddlehunter.com, there's some legit hunters on there. There's a lot of guys that are on the Hunting Beast too that are on that site. But to be honest with you, other than those two, man, I really haven't been on any others.
Right.
I'm not a big social media guy. I don't even have a Facebook account. I don't have Instagram. I don't have any of that stuff. I've just never been too wrapped up in all that stuff. Spend more of my time out in the woods, I guess.
Yeah, no, good man. Saddle Hunter, yeah, I got an invite from Saddle Hunter on Facebook. I'll have to, I'll have to check them out. Yeah, thanks for that tip.
Check it out.
So St. Louis, we're flying into St. Louis. We should really set this up, and I would encourage other people too. I mean, I've gone all over the country, literally by just meeting people. Either through a friend or back in the day on Archery Talk, strike up a conversation with them and you kind of form a friendship, and it's like, hey, fuck it, I'll fly out to, I mean, I met one of my best friends. We just got shooting the shit. I picked his brain on Archery Talk. You know Matt Palmquist?
Matt Palmquist? No, I don't.
He's a killer. And I actually went out there, early 2000s, shed hunted, and it was kind of like, I took my pickup truck, actually, and a buddy from Arizona flew out there. We met at the airport, and we just slept in the back of our truck a night or two, and then Matt was like, fuck that, you can stay at my house. And I don't think I've ever slept outside in Kansas again. I've always just stayed at Matt's house. I've made a friend for life, and
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, and all the deer I've killed there are great. I wouldn't trade those adventures and the friendship for anything. And guys I got friends in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Illinois and all over. Fuck, that's so much fun. And now we got one in Missouri. We definitely should do it's going to cost maybe $300 to fly to.
Let's do it.
To what do you call it? We should set up or we could just rendezvous somewhere where if you could ever think of a place, you think of this. Don't say it on the air because we don't want a bunch of these other assholes showing up to our spot. If you think of a spot that you want to beat the shit out of and evaluate and look for sheds, we will fly there, get in our little rental car, and meet you there, and that would be fun.
Dude, I'll pick you guys up. You don't even have to do that. Fly in somewhere like that, I'll pick you up.
We should get we should get Andy to join us too.
That'd be cool.
Fuck it, we should just put a what do you call it out there? We'll have a bunch of people. We'll get a bus.
Yeah, hey man, I'm all for that. I'd like to meet Andy anyways. I've actually never spoke with that dude on the phone. Speaking of him, I've never talked to him. It's just been through text and whatnot. So that would be a great. That'd be a great time.
Oh, we should do it. Yeah, it's funny how I've got a bunch of friends that I've never technically met in person. I know everything about them. They're hunters, you know what I mean? But I genuinely know. And then when you finally do meet them, it's literally like, it's like we've known each other for years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Andy's one of them. I've actually never shook his hand. I don't even want to. You see how good looking he is? He is literally like 6'12", 210 pounds. He's got a 28-inch waist. His fucking shoulders literally look like a wildebeest. And he's good looking.
Yeah, he's a stud, man, and he's a stud killer too. That dude is legit, man. He is.
It's frustrating.
He's a good dude.
I heard he had a small penis. I'm just throwing that out there. I gotta find something bad about this guy. Andy's got it together, and he's probably just. And you know what? He never cusses. I've never really heard him cuss too much. He's always soft spoken. I've never heard him say a foul word about anybody. He's a gentleman.
No,
he's
a great dude, man. And he's like you said. That dude he wants to learn.
He's a student.
All about learning.
Yep.
He's basically the same as you, Jesse. 5'8", 200, and you just swear a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely have the face for podcasting as well. Man.
I like it, man.
Yeah. Well, Justin, we won't keep you, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to shoot the shit with us and just talking with us, man. You're a good dude. Can't wait to we're gonna have you on again too, if you don't mind. We could talk your ear off all day.
No, I'm game. That was fun. That was a great time. It was an honor and a pleasure to speak Whitetails with you guys, man. It really was. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good, man. Well, we appreciate it as well.
Thanks so much, Justin.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime, guys.
Thanks. Well, think about that Missouri trip, and I am 110% in. at a drop of a hat, jump on a fucking airplane and meet you. So, and I think Kevin will too. So
let's do it, man.
Think about it. We'll get May in the mix, and we'll do a podcast in person.
Right on. Sounds good, Jesse. I
Thanks.
appreciate it, man.
See ya.
Thanks, Justin. See you, man.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, there you have it. Justin Wright crushed it. So good.
For sure, yeah. I could talk all day with that guy. That was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you picked up a little tidbit here and there with Justin. Kind of excited about we keep going. I have a long list. Kevin and I have a long list of killers and just great dudes in general that are a lot like Justin. One of our next guests is Eddie Claypool. Eddie really doesn't need any introduction. I'm not sure if we're going to have him on our next one or the one after, but he's coming up. We got a couple turkey hunters that are turkey gurus, and I'm not a turkey guru, but I got to admit I'm even kind of getting wound up because it's around the corner, and I feel like just talking turkeys, and I feel like setting up a turkey hunt too. So we might throw that in the mix for our next couple podcasts, but look forward to some exciting stuff. I'm really amped up about talking to Justin. He's a good dude, and he's definitely got his shit together. That was fun.
Yeah, that was great. Can't wait to talk to him in the future, have him back, and hopefully we keep bringing these caliber guys because he set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, there's all these. We got a list of high caliber guys. He had a good mantra about him.
Yeah,
he's got it. But keep the advice coming to you guys. We've gotten a bunch of different feedback from people, and man, we appreciate the hell out of it. Constructive criticism is good, and I hope that we're getting better. So thanks for the tips and the feedback, and until next time, we will catch your ass later.
Take it easy.
See you.